Exodus 16 and Numbers 11 teaches us so much about God's provision in talking about manna. Manna was the bread from heaven that the Israelites received on a daily basis from God. So, one lesson we learn is that God provides daily. Also, he who gathered much did not gather too much, and he who gathered little had enough. So, when you're gathering God's provision, God makes sure that you have the right amount. So, he provides for us daily, and he gives us the right amount. The Israelites were told not to gather too much, to not have any left over until morning, because if they kept it for too long, the next day would have worms and it would stink. So we have to receive God's provision fresh, daily. There's another lesson right there. God allowed them to gather this manna and have it not violate his will, which was keeping the Sabbath. So they were allowed to gather twice as much the day before the Sabbath, so they didn't have to carry out their work of gathering on the Sabbath. So God upholds his mighty law in doing that. Another thing is that the manna was only for a season in life. It was for a certain time. So God was bringing them to something better. So God does provide daily, but his provision can change and it can get better. Now, here's another lesson which takes us into Numbers 11, and that's that the people were complaining about the manna, and they were missing Egypt, and God didn't like that, but he gave them what they wanted. He made quail to come in, birds for them to eat, and they had so much provision. And right when they were eating this, a plague broke out. God's wrath broke against them. So he gave them what they wanted, but his anger was kindled against them. So the lesson we need to have is to be thankful for what God gives us, what he gives us daily, that he gives it to us, that he gives enough to us, that he gives it to us in a season where he's providing something better for us, and we need to be thankful for it. We don't need to hoard it. We need to gather it fresh every day. God's provision is awesome. God is mighty, and I declare his goodness today.